So, what do we think of Bruno Gunn as Brutus? Let's start with Tiffany. Is he everything that you hoped Brutus would be?
Well, he's on Sons of Anarchy, and I love that show, and so I'm already, in favor of him, just because I can already tell he's going to, because there aren't any bad actors on that show, so I've got faith.
Theresa, what do you think about Mr. Gunn?
Well, I did envision Brutus with hair, so I don't I'm going to put hair on him, but no, I think he's got the look. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen him in anything, so I can't see so much for his talent. But I mean, I think I don't know. Just the promo picture they put up. He's got this look. This I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. It's like this cocky look almost. And then yeah, okay, I can see it. So I think he'll do well.
I have to say, sometimes we've been looking at these actors who have been picked and saying, okay, how famous is this person? What role have they been in? But actually, in the case of Bruno Gunn, he's been in a lot of things, but he never really had a significant part. I actually think this is really great that somebody like him has this opportunity to be a part of this franchise, and hopefully it will catapult him into having a bigger career. Because he seems like a very capable actor who's just been waiting and biding his time to get a significant role. And maybe Brutus isn't a huge role, but he'll at least be widely known by a very active and aggressive fandom. And I think that should help.
Or scare him into
scare him into something. He could have some creepy groupie types following him too. That is possible. But I will say this about him also.
Someone we're going to be talking about tonight. But we'll get to him.
So. I think you're right. I think, Bruno, you're right. He's going to be left alone while someone else, that other person. Okay, so Savanna, go on with that.
Crystal, what are your thoughts on Bruno?
I think he looks really good. I mean, I know you had looked up how tall he is and stuff, but I don't know. I think he looks like he could pull off being a really vicious tribute. So I'm pretty happy with his casting.
Yeah, I saw some people, after each casting announcement is made, I usually go on Tumblr and Facebook and Twitter and see what people are saying. And for Bruno, I saw a few people saying that they didn't think he was big enough. But, I mean, he's definitely 6 feet or 6 feet something. And I think if you cast someone who's just, massive, you run the risk of sort of turning the character into, a parody of him or herself. If they found someone who was 7 feet tall, it would have just been ridiculous. So I think this is fine. Ellie, do you have any opinions on Bruno Gunn?
Just that I can see it. I know the one thing I really remember about Brutus is he's described initially as, not described, but the one thing we really know about him is that he volunteers and he can't wait to get in there again. And just judging purely on, the pictures that I've seen, I can see him as somebody that just stands up and says, yeah, let's do this again. This is awesome.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can totally picture that, too. I don't know if that's a compliment for Bruno or not, but he definitely looks like that.
Yeah, but I think it is also the cocky look that somebody else mentioned.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see it.
Ariel, what about you? Any thoughts or feelings about Bruno Gunn as Brutus?
Well, when I read Brutus in the books, I guess, I imagined him, but not in great detail. He was kind of just a character that appeared in my head. So by the time we got around to this casting, I kind of, couldn't really remember how I thought of him. And just looking at the picture, that's, I'm good. That's now how I'm going to think of him, just his facial expression. It's true. Sorry, Bruno, but it makes you so believable, and so now he's just Brutus.
He does seem really nice. Everyone should go follow him on Twitter at Bruno Gunn. He seems like a cool guy, and I think he was replying to some tweets and stuff after he was cast, and just being very generous. So he seems like, on the inside, he's a very kind person, even if he looks a little tough on the outside. let me quickly read some fan responses or some listener responses on our post. I'm trying to check out, or I'm looking for people who specifically mentioned Bruno. No one's really specifically talking about him. Let's see. I'm trying to look. I think no one really specifically mentioned him. Like, I think everyone is just, like, totally on board with it.
Yeah, obviously, he had the misfortune.
Everyone seems cool.
Not misfortune, but so many things came out. You know, you only have one day in the sun right now with these castings. So I think that day a lot of people were saying things, but, you know, we're now a few days removed. But as you mentioned that he is nice, that really was pretty exciting for me, and I know, Savanna, we were talking about this, just how excited he seemed to be about getting this role. And that was just wonderful to read his tweets and all of that stuff. So, honestly, anybody, of course, would be excited. Jenna Malone was super excited, remember. But for a guy like this, I think this was really a career-defining moment for him, and he certainly seems to grasp that and is really grateful and excited, I think, to connect with fans. So I'm speculating here, but I'm guessing he's going to be one of those actors who's going to be a little bit more fan-friendly and approachable as the movie shooting goes on. Kind of like a Dio or Jackie Emerson, except he's older, of course. But you get the idea. Can I say one more thing about him before we move on quickly?
Yes, please.
A funny little joke?
Yes, we have loads of time.
Okay, so you know how his real name was Bruno, I can't even say it, but Giello or Giello? Spelled G-I-O. G-I-O-I-E-L-L-O. And that's why I was 4 vowels mixed together. That must be a very Italian thing. But I was going to say, so what that basically means, cue the drums for a really lame joke coming. His last name may be Gunn, but he is not a son of a gun.
Oh, Adam.
That's what they were singing happy birthday of things we shouldn't do on the show.
Fair, I was a little late with it, but I got the shot in. Okay. So moving right along, I love that everyone has been so positive about both Meta Golding and Bruno Gunn. I haven't seen anything negative about either of them, which is nice. Of course, these are minor characters. I think, you know, when Finn comes around, we'll get a much more divided reaction. But anyway, so next up is Alan Ritchson. Last Thursday, August 9th, we learned that Alan Ritchson would be playing Gloss. Just to refresh your memories, Gloss is from District 1, and he is a victor along with his sister, Kashmir, and they are both reaped into the Quarter Quell. They're described as blonde and classically beautiful, and Alan Ritchson, you might recall, was a Finnick contender. He supposedly auditioned for Finnick. I don't know if we ever, proved that. I mean, there's really no way to, confirm something like that 100%, but we're pretty sure that he did audition for Finnick, and they probably saw him and thought, you would make a much better Gloss. He is also a singer. He has an album on iTunes that you can look for, and he made it to the top 87 on Season 3 of American Idol, which is pretty impressive. So if you go to YouTube and search for Alan Ritchson American Idol, you will find his audition. And his audition in the room with Simon, Randy, and Paula is pretty funny. He does something, or no, I think it was in Hollywood Week. In one of his auditions, he does something really ridiculous, and I think you'll all enjoy it. Just like our friend Alexander Ludwig, he's a former Abercrombie model. He's also a former underwear model, which you might have noticed if you searched for him on Google Images. And he's 27. So I think Gloss and Kashmir are described as being in their 20s, so 27 works. Alan Ritchson is also on Twitter. His Twitter username is Alan Ritchson, and just after the announcement came in, he tweeted and said, "No words can express to have the opportunity to portray Gloss in the Hunger Games, to be a part of this great trilogy. Just so grateful." Aww, so he seems like a really nice guy. So really quickly, I will share part of the official press release so that you guys can all hear what he's been in. He's the middle son of a retired U.S. Air Force Chief Master Sergeant and a high school teacher. He began his career as a model working for Abercrombie & Fitch and was also the model for the title character in Beowulf with Angelina Jolie. Ritchson most recently starred in the CBS comedy pilot Super Fun Night with Rebel Wilson and Blue Mountain State, which aired on Spike TV for 3 seasons. Previously, Ritchson recurred as Aquaman on the CW Smallville and appeared on Season 3 of 90210 as a love interest to the character Teddy Montgomery, who is played by Trevor Donovan, who also auditioned for Finnick and has been a Finnick fan favorite for a while now. So sort of an interesting coincidence there. Alan Ritchson, Crystal, what was your initial reaction to finding out that Alan Ritchson would be playing Gloss?
I don't remember. I remember I was I remember being a little red in the face when people started linking pictures.
Yeah.
People were linking things and I was just clicking them blindly. I was like, whoa. But I mean, yeah, he looks like a great Gloss, so I'm pretty happy, and I thought it was really funny. I mean, me and you were watching that clip of him from American Idol, and I totally remember that too. So I just thought that was really funny.
Can I just butt in for a second? I'm trying to figure out what it is that you ladies are so caught up with. Is he good looking or something? Is that what you're trying to say here? Is that what this is all about? No, I'm just kidding. I can obviously see that he's
I guess Adam hasn't seen the Hypeable article.
I have. I've seen it all. I have to say, as Zoolander would say, he's really, 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 really good looking. I can totally see that. I know a lot of people even think he should play Finnick, but here's what I want to ask you, Crystal, and this goes for everybody. I know this joke has been going around, but when you first saw the name, didn't some of you think Alan Rickman at first? Because I definitely did when I saw that name.
we had a couple of people who were like, "Oh, I thought you said Alan Rickman," and I thought that was so funny.
Back to real discussion. Crystal, I apologize for interrupting your great analysis of Alan Ritchson. Yeah, Savanna, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love this tweet from PotterFan92. She said, "If Gloss looks like that, then imagine Cashmere," which I've been trying to do. I'm wondering if we're getting a delay because they can't find a woman who looks that perfect who's available. But I'm really excited to see Cashmere. I'm assuming that it will be this blonde goddess figure, so that'll be pretty fun. Crystal, did you have anything to add, or were you done?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Tiffany, Alan Ritchson, how do you feel about him and his physique?
Well, the first time I ever saw him, he was being interviewed by Toby Turner, who, if you guys...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He was. I was watching the Tobuscus videos, and it turns out that Toby Turner was going to interview him, but he went to high school with him, and they used to be in drama club together or something like that. So when he went to interview him, he was all really surprised and excited that his friend from high school was interviewing him. So yeah, Denise, my friend Denise, who we talk about on this show all the time, reminded me of that, and I just went, oh my gosh, it's that guy. Because when I saw that it was a guy from Blue Mountain State, I hadn't really clicked that it was the same guy. But so since I've seen him as being himself on the on Toby Turner's interview, I really was excited about him being in the cast.
That's really amazing. If you're listening and you don't know who Toby Turner is, he's probably one of the most popular YouTubers right now. He's got a massive following, over 1 million followers, I think. So he's kind of YouTube famous, basically. And his videos are really funny. You should go check them out if you haven't seen them. Theresa, did you comment on Alan Ritchson yet?
No, I will never forget going through his photos on Google. I mean, just Google his photos and yeah. But the thing is at first, I was at work when every single one of these casting announcements went down, and when this one went down, I didn't recognize the name. I was it didn't click. And then we started, because I'm posting remotely, and I had no idea. So I'm, like, posting, and then I see the picture, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, Aquaman. Because then I remembered all the talk previously about his, potential Finnick.
Right.
And all that. So I remembered all that, and I was like, okay. And I remember being bugged watching those interviews going, he's not Finnick. You're watching different things and going, he's not Finnick, he's not Finnick. He looks good, but, I didn't just see him as Finnick. So,
right.
As far as personality-wise and everything. So when I put when they showed him up as Lost, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the Xander thing all over again, where Alexander went in to try out for PETA and became the bad guy and became Kato. And then you've got this, and whether or not we know for sure whether or not he went in for an actual interview or whether or not he had an audition or anything, it's kind of like, okay, he could have been Finnick, possibly could have been Finnick, but now he's the bad guy. So it's like it's like this whole side thing. So it's like this parallel between him and Xander.
What I found really funny is that on all of these days when we got Baria and Brutus and Chaff and Cedar, there was definitely a reaction, but it was, just kind of subdued. But on Thursday with the Alan Ritchson news, there were so many more people talking about it. Everyone was kind of going crazy, on Twitter and Facebook and on Tumblr. And I definitely think he kind of created a sensation largely because of his appearance, which is pretty amusing. He's definitely a very attractive man, and I think he's already sort of starting to build for himself like a kind of a slightly rabid following, sort of like we saw with Alexander Ludwig. So it'll be funny to see how that progresses. But I'm like 99% sure that he's married. I think he's tweeted a few times about his wife, so he's taken, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not familiar with any of his work at all. I haven't seen him in anything. But just based on his looks alone, I think that he is perfect.